cast and the derogatory title Sambo. Before then, film roles for black actors were played by white actors in blackface. Sam Lucas became the first black actor to be cast in a leading role in a mainstream film, appearing in the 1914 film Uncle Tom's Cabin. The Peter P. Jones Film Company was established in Chicago and filmed vaudeville acts and the 1915 National Half-Century Exposition in Lincoln Jubilee. William D. Foster's The Foster Photoplay Company in Chicago was one of the earliest studios to feature African Americans. Casts for his films included performers from stage shows at Robert T. Mott's Pekin Theater. The Lafayette Players and the Ethiopian Art Theater had several players who crossed over into filmmakers, too. The Lafayette Players and the Ethiopian Art Theater had several players who crossed over into filmmaking, too. The Lincoln Motion Picture Company was established in Omaha, Nebraska before relocating to Los Angeles and was among the very first black producers of African American film. Their mission statement was to encourage black pride with its mostly family-oriented pictures. The short-lived white-owned Ebony Film Corporation was founded in 1915, but the white ownership's poor judgment about its stereotype-laden films aimed at both white and black audiences led to a public outcry from black audiences in the wake of divisive anger about the birth of a nation. The company shut its doors in 1919 as a result. Meanwhile, Biograph made a series of comedy shorts with comedian Burt Williams.
You're invited to celebrate Black History Month with TNCRadio.live.
I grew up in St. Louis County. My mom is a nurse. My dad's an engineer for a general contractor. When I was growing up, I really liked math. Math was my favorite subject in school, and my dad would actually assign me extra math problems to do when my homework was finished. And so, yes, I was a little bit of a nerd, but I'm okay with that. And so I worked for a long time in the private sector as a CPA and a certified fraud examiner, auditing Fortune 500 companies and insurance companies, things of that nature. And I got into public service at the local level as treasurer in Boone County. It's right in the middle of the state where Columbia is. And I really just got involved. We have 3 boys that are 8, 6, and 3. And, again, to me, this is about service and helping people in big ways and in small ones improve their lives and make their lives better.
And when you made the comment of service, that's one thing that I like our listeners to hear, that, being in a political office is a form of service. And, people are entrusting our political officials to speak on our behalf and do things on our behalf as well, too. So the highlighting of that word is like a buzzword here, especially during this election season. Now, you are pursuing the position of governor. What drove you to make that transition, to make that choice to say, I want to pursue this higher office?
Yeah. Well, again, being in the Jefferson City as state auditor, I have looked at all levels of government, from local governments to large state agencies.
People are entrusting our political officials to speak on our behalf and do things on our behalf as well, too. So the highlighting of that word is like a buzzword here, especially during this election season. Now, you are pursuing the position of governor. What drove you to make that transition, to make that choice to say, I want to pursue this higher office?
In Jefferson City, you get exactly what you want. If you are an everyday person, like the family that I grew up in, I have struggling all levels to pay for health care. Local government concerned about to large state agencies.
People are entrusting our political officials to speak on our behalf and do things on our behalf as well, too. So the highlighting of that word is like a buzzword here, especially during this election season. Now, you are pursuing the position of governor.
We're shining a long overdue spotlight on the hidden figures of untaught history. who deserve to be celebrated for their contributions to civil rights, politics, the arts, and beyond.
The short film Something Good, Negro Kiss, was made in 1898. Early commercial films often depicted minstrel shows until vaudeville acts overtook them in popularity. An African American appeared in narrative film at least as early as 1909, which is also the year that Sigmund Lubin produced the comedy series using a black cast and the derogatory title Sambo. Before then, film roles for black actors were played by white actors in blackface. Sam Lucas became the first black actor to be cast in a leading role in a mainstream film, appearing in the 1914 film Uncle Tom's Cabin. The Peter P. Jones Film Company was established in Chicago and filmed vaudeville acts and the 1915 National Half-Century Exposition.
I'm Professor Smooth Jazz. You can hear my show on Thursdays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., and again, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., and Friday, early in the morning, 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. How are you doing, Kansas City listeners? Today, we have a special guest, saxophonist Van Birchfield. Hello, Van.
Hello,
How are you
hello.
doing?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm all right. So yeah, so you're from Alabama, it says here, near
Yes,
Birmingham.
yes, so just south of Birmingham, a little town we call Bessemer.
Okay. And so I know you play sax, but you didn't start out playing sax though, huh?
No, sir. I actually started playing the piano in the first grade when I was 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time I was 10, I was playing the guitar. And I loved music. Music was always in my family and in my home. But I went over to my grandma's house one day and I was running around in the back closet and I found an old saxophone. And I pulled that thing out and I'd never played a saxophone. And I just started wailing on it. And
Mm-hmm.
my grandma said, "When did you learn to play the sax?" I said, "I've never touched one." She said, "Well, you need to go ahead and take that on home." So I've been playing ever since.
Okay. And so whose sax was that?
That was my Aunt Rhonda's.
Oh, so she played sax or
She played a little bit in high school, but she gave it up and then they just left it in the closet.
oh well, and that's where your career started, huh? Man, just
Yes.
think if you wouldn't have been a type of person that goes around looking looking around.
Well, I always say that God works in mysterious way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. So it so you started playing in public school, but you didn't play the sax in public school starting out, did you?
I started out, they tested me in fourth grade
Mhm.
and for a wind instrument or a trumpet. And when they heard me on the trumpet, they said, no, you're going to play a wind instrument. So they started me on the clarinet for about 6 months to maybe 8 months.
Mhm.
And then I begged them to let me play the saxophone.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I started out in public school playing the clarinet and the saxophones.
Okay. So now I was looking at your website, and what's this Kenny G? I guess the first time you saw Kenny G, how that kind of.
I saw Kenny. I met him back. He was here in Birmingham back in the 90s. And I brought one of my horns just to get him to autograph it. Well, it so happened that my seat was right down front, and he comes walking down front and stood in front of me. And I was looking at his embouchure, and that's how he holds his mouthpiece, and it's a little bit to the side. And most sax players play here, but he was here. And I was looking, he said, "You play?" And I said, "Yeah, I brought my sax. Would you sign it?" He said, "Yeah, meet me backstage." So anyway, he kept on with the concert. I went backstage and they wouldn't let me in. So he comes walking out to get in a big, long, white limousine. And my brother tasked me and said, "Man, play," to get his attention. Well, I grabbed my tenor and I just started wailing and ripping on it. And he stopped and he started walking toward me and he was clapping and said, "Let that man through." And the first thing Kenny G ever said to me was, do you mind if I see that horn?
Mhm.
And I said, it ain't the horn, brother. And so he looked at that horn, he autographed it. And I said, I sure appreciate that. He said, well, let me tell you, you have a great sound and a great tone, and you ought to really, really practice, and you could really go somewhere, I think is what he said. And from that moment on, he encouraged me almost 30 years ago. And so,
but there was also something else that also kind of caught your attention about Kenny G. Yeah, I did notice he did play the sax. I noticed that before watching videos, but I never put it that other sax players.
Yeah,
it's a little different.
Yeah, I saw him on the Tonight Show, and he was talking about circular breathing, and that's a technique where you can hold a note a long time. And I learned that back in junior high. And when he said he thinks he could go about 20 minutes, I said, I think I can go 20 minutes. So I started practicing. Well, he set the record, I think 97 or 98. And it took me about 6 months, because every time I practiced, I had to go past his 45 minutes. So I worked myself up to 1 hour and 8 minutes and 22 seconds holding that one note. I contacted Guinness, and they said, well, come on, let's see what you got. So they had the judges and the cameras and all the sound recording equipment to make sure the note I started on, I couldn't go 5 decibels in volume higher, and I couldn't let it drop 5 decibels. I had to maintain that same volume and that same pitch. Well, on my first attempt, and that's the Guinness World Record, I actually went past Kenny's record by a couple of minutes, and they all started clapping, and I knew that I had won the record, and so I quit after 2 minutes of surpassing his.
Man, that's an accomplishment. I can't even hold my head.
It's a pretty neat little technique. I can give you an example if you'd like of what it's like.
Okay.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna plug my horn in.
Woo.
And that's just an example, of what you can do when you're still holding that one note. You can actually play along and do different things.
Oh man, that's something I just found out about you. Oh man, you're famous.
No.
Well, I know you're famous from your music, And,
well, thank you.
so-
I used to tour all over the world with a lady there from St. Louis, Joyce Meyer Ministries. And she said, well, Van, just always remember, a big shot ain't nothing but a little shot away from home.
So you also produce, you have 6 releases, the Christmas collection. So
yes,
you got some smooth jazz singles. So when did you kind of get into smooth jazz? Because I know you have some other kind of musical influences we talked about.
Yes, sir. I was born and raised, here in Birmingham, and I was raised and cut my teeth on Cameo and Bar-Kays and Confunction and Rick James and Tina Marie. So I've got R&B and soul. They call me Blue-Eyed Soul, but I will say I started playing in churches and doing contemporary Christian and gospel for many, many years. And it's just been these last few years that I've crossed over into smooth jazz. And I'm still trying to make my music not have such of an R&B feel to it, but I'm trying to get it more of a smooth jazz flavor.
Yeah, but I think in this genre, we need other influences. That's kind of distinguished. I mean, makes you who you are away from other jazz
Right.
artists? Because there's so many jazz artists out. Oh, saxophone. I mean, it's oh man.
That's the in the jazz world, that's the drug of choice, is the saxophone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everybody plays the sax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I like to go ahead.
I do want to be a little different. I want, when people say, when they hear that first note, that they'll know that that's Van Birchfield.
Yes.
You know, when they hear that groove and that sound,
Mm-hmm.
you know, now I will say on this album, you know, I produced the album here, I
Mhm.
wrote every song, but I
Mhm.
brought in one of the greatest bass players I've ever heard in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And his name is Vale Johnson. And if you've ever gone to a Kenny G concert, you can't miss Vale. He's been on stage with Kenny for 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that man is up there just thumping. And so I called him up and I said, I need some thumping, some good thumping bass on my new album.
Mm-hmm.
And so he came down from Nashville, spent a few days here, and he recorded every track of bass on my new album.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
yeah, he really adds a lot to it.
So you've been to Kansas City? Have you?
Many times. I
okay.
love Kansas City. Lee Summit, I love Kansas City.
Okay.
Yeah, Fenton, I love going over to St. Louis, and Fenton, I've been there many times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you know the area, huh?
Yes, sir.
Now, some people that artists, when I'm talking to, and they're not familiar, sometimes they get it mixed up with Kansas City, Kansas.
Yeah. No.
Well,
Yeah.
so now there's a border there. It's Kansas City,
That's
Missouri,
right.
and Kansas City, Kansas.
Yeah. In fact, my brother Varick and his family live just about 30 minutes outside of Kansas City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Missouri.
Mm-hmm. So you also been to the White House, played for the.
Yeah, you know, I had performed one of in a big gala event in Birmingham, and it just so happened that the governor and his wife and his daughter was there, and I had played a few songs off of one of my Christmas albums. It was around the holiday season, and they came up to me and asked if they could have buy a copy of my Christmas album, and I did, and I gave them my business card. And it wasn't 6 months later, I got a phone call, and they're saying, "Hey, there's a lot of campaigns and campaign trail, a lot of presidential people coming in. Can you come and play for our big banquet, our big dinner, our big fundraiser?" So I did, and the people there were some folks from the White House, and they loved it, and they called me the Christian Kenny G. And so I said, well, I can come to the White House and I can play. And they said, well, if you would just come and play what you did tonight, we'd love it. And so they invited me back four more times in a row. So it was an honor to be able to go to play in the White House, up in that great big grand ballroom.
Oh, okay.
The East Room.
Okay. Now, how did you end up meeting Adam with Intervision?
Adam, a good friend of mine, and she's a dear, sweet friend. Her name is Kim Scott. And she and we started back years ago with the Jazz in the Parks. And we were backstage once, and Kim was telling me that she's going to get into smooth jazz. And I said, well, great. I said, you ought to do really good at it. And she said, yeah, I'm going to try it. And she said, because she was classically trained. Well, her first album did good. And then her second album did even better. And I'm like, Kim, what's going on? She says, well, there's this guy, his name is Adam Levine. And I would love to introduce you to him because he can really help. And so Kim Scott is the one who kind of gave me the connection there. And I've known Adam now for a couple of years, and I just think he's a great guy. And he's a really good, solid, down to earth, honest guy.
It's kind of funny because when I looked and saw you from Birmingham, I said, I'm gonna have to mention and see if you know Kim, because we interviewed her a little bit ago.
Kim is a sweetheart.
That's my buddy. Actually, me and my cousin, we drove down to Birmingham. It was I'm trying to. It was one of those park events.
Jazz in the Park.
It was where oh the historical something to do with Martin Luther King or so. It was some kind of
Right.
some event they had because they
Right.
had opened a new theater or something like that, and they were
Uh-huh.
showing Black history
Sure.
films,
Yeah.
documentaries, and things like that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So yeah, and the food was great because I don't know, it was some kind of
It-
corn or something, and
oh man, you must have
it,
got corn casserole.
some was some rice or something. I don't know. I asked the guy. I asked the vendor. I asked him. I said, "Well, I've never tried that before." And so he said, "Oh yeah, man, this is good." So, well, I think we had fish and something else. Had some vendors there, and it was really good.
It's just like Kansas City. You can't beat that barbecue, but you gonna come to South, you gonna get some good soul food.
Definitely.
We used to do um, potluck suppers over at St. Joseph, and Brother Abraham Woods, he was very instrumental in the civil rights march, his brother Calvin. And Brother Woods, he always used to ask me to come play. He said, Brother Birchfield, you what we call blue-eyed soul. And so we used to have some great times over at the potluck suppers at St. Joseph's.
Okay. Yeah. So, so you have some other interests, and you're not only pretty good with the sax, but what about this golfing game you got here?
Yeah, I've been playing about 30 years. I've always loved the game of golf. It's such a wonderful mind controlling type of a thing. We all have the physical ability to take a golf club and hit a golf ball, but to mentally see it and want it to go to a certain spot on that green, it takes practice and dedication. And I just love being able to have a challenge in my life and reach that challenge and reach that goal and keep pressing on, as they say.
Okay, so how many hole-in-ones have you?
I've had 2 hole-in-ones. I've had a couple that rolled right up, but I wasn't lucky like Tiger Woods. It didn't roll on in. Mine stayed on the lip. So, but I've actually been. I won a long drive competition for the longest drive. But I'm 58. I'll be 59 coming up, and the older you get, the ball flight doesn't just go as far as it used to. So I still love the game of golf, but I've really devoted a lot of time and a lot of years now, more so into my craft of music. So.
Okay. Now you're gonna show us a little example of what was that? The tune you were playing? Is this on your new CD?
Yes, it's called Stay Strong. It's going to feature Vale Johnson of Kenny G, great bass player, and then a friend of mine, Keith Williams, on acoustic guitar, and I'm going to play it on my soprano saxophone. Okay. So we'll get it going, and I'll plug it in, and we'll be right back. I think the song's about 3 minutes. Here we go. Okay.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I like that song. I said thank you.
All right,
I
there we
said, I
go.
said, I said, thank you. Yeah, I like that song. I think I spun you last week with your drop that she gave me. I think it was last week. I sent it to Adam though.
Thank you
I
so
think that's.
much.
I thought yeah, I'm about to see if I sent it to. I thought I sent it to you. The
Okay.
the playlist.
I may check. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just so honored, you know, to be able to produce a song here and then it go all over the world. And actually people like it and enjoy it. That's
Oh
my
yeah.
goal, is that my music would influence people in a positive way.
Just I was just getting ready to ask you that. What is it that you like, to accomplish with your music? So you already answered my question.
Well, you know, I think I kind of got a good connection and good vibe going on with you guys. I really like folks there, and I really enjoy you and your show. And I've listened to a lot of things over the last few weeks here. And yeah, my music, especially during COVID, I've had a lot of friends that I've lost, and it's just been a heartbreaking, just a terrible time. And there's a lot of people who have been depressed and upset. And so I wanted the album to come out at a time that could uplift people's spirits. I know music has changed my life when I was in the gospel realm. Just one song changed my life. And so I wanted the title to be positive, and I named it Keep Pressing On. And the song titles are We Can Do This, You Can Do It, Stay Strong, Change is a Coming. You know, I've got a lot of good titles on these songs to uplift people. And then I'm just getting ready to do songs called Van Birchfield's Songs of Hope and Inspiration. And that's going to be my gospel album that I'm doing. And it should be out sometime mid-July.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And some of those selections, like on Wednesday, I kind of that's some people not in church, so I use Wednesday and Sunday. Sometimes I'll mix in jazz artists have titles, gospel selections, and things like that. So that's what I like to use for my Wednesday night show. And that's what Stay Strong. I remember Keep Pressing On. Some of those selections I would use because that goes along with the what I'm trying to play at that time.
Well, hey, you're following exactly what we're supposed to do. You know, Jesus wasn't all in the sanctuaries and in the temples all the time. He was out there with the tax collectors, and he was out there with everybody. So
yeah. So
that's a good thing you got going there. That's great.
Okay. So did you start out playing in church?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
A lot of artists started out. I just talked to a David Dyson.
Okay.
The bass player. So he said he was telling me that his mom was in the ministry of, I think he said minister or something, and so she didn't want him to play the kind of secular music, and so his dad would say, "Let the boy play, let the boy
play." Hey, we can be a light anywhere we go,
Yeah.
And I just love the fact that music can get us in places, that a lot of folks can't go to. So
okay. Well, can you give us that info on your website where you can be reached? And
sure. The best way to find Van Birchfield, and that's Van with two N's, VANN, and then Birchfield is BURCHFIELD. And if you just go to Google and type in Van Birchfield, you can go to my YouTube channel, you can go to my iHeartRadio station, Apple Music, Spotify. You can go anywhere in the world and download my music for free. If you want to get the best sounding, the best quality music, is you just go to my website at vanbirchfield.com, and I'll autograph you a copy and we'll send it to you, and it'll be the best sounding CD music you can get.
Okay, well, I'm waiting. Mr. Walker, we're gonna send you our address so we can.
Well, I'll personally sign it to you, brother. They call you professor, but I call you doctor.
Oh man, I hear that, Mr. Walker. I got another title now, so I want you don't forget that now. So okay, hey, and you have a nice day. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
You didn't run into that weather though. Remember, I was talking to you about that weather.
That's right. It went a little bit north, and I went a little bit south. So thank you so much.
Yeah, because All right. You have a nice day.
Yeah, anytime y'all have jazz festivals, man, I'd love to come up. We have a great time.
Okay, because they looking forward to having some. We got the Jazz District down there,
Oh, that's right. Oh, I love that place. It's beautiful. Lights. Oh, it's wonderful. All right, man. Well, y'all have a great day. Thanks again for having me.
And you too. Bye-bye.
All right, take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.